since Leicester, could have gone any better in the last 4 weeks?
It's gone very well for us. Obviously Leicester was a huge disappointment, and still looking back on it and reflecting on that match, it's one that hurts because it's not reflective of the progress that we've made and the way that we've played this year. So we look forward to that rematch, quite honestly. But what the boys have been able to do is bounce back very strongly after that performance. And they've shown great character, and I think what's really encouraging, I've spoken for a long time about trying to create strength and depth in every position. Genuinely, at this moment in time, we can almost put anybody on the field and they perform, and it's made it very difficult for selection for this week. We're probably 80% there, but there's still a couple of positions that we're mulling over. And I've made the point to the boys today that the beauty of where we are as coaches now, we've genuinely got alternatives in every position.
So you're going to leave it till late to announce the team?
We'll announce it to the players tomorrow after we finalise our selection.
In terms of, obviously you rested a lot of boys over the last few weeks. Are they all due to come back?
Yeah, they're all back in training now. Turnbull won't be fit. McCusker won't be fit.
Josh was in stinger, did he?
Yeah, he had some nerve damage. It's not too serious, and he lost a little bit of strength in his shoulder and his arm, but that's coming back now. But he's probably a week or two away from being available. McCusker, similarly, probably 2 weeks away from being available for selection.
It's a quick recovery after hurting your arm.
Yes, yeah, it is. Fenby was 4 weeks, so Rob will be similar, really.
John Davies,
reasonably good news. He saw the surgeon this week. The surgeon has decided that there's no need for intervention, which is good, because that could have been long term or longer term. And he will probably be available around Christmas, which is quite broad, I know, but
you say it could have been longer term. Could it have kept him out for the majority of the season?
It could have, if it was as serious as it could have been with the surgery that you'd have had to have, but that's not the case now.
So is it fair to say it's a different injury to the one you get at the Dragons, or was it the Dragons injury aggravated?
Aggravated, yeah. And in actual fact, the ankle is a lot stronger than after that original injury now. But we just have to be very careful with him that it doesn't escalate to a situation where it becomes more serious.
When you look at last year going to West Wing Park in the first months, there was not much chance of making playoffs, and it was down the bottom of the table. So refreshing to go there, knowing it's the battle of the top two.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be going there, and I think it's there's lots of factors that are influenced when you are competing at the top end of the table. I think obviously players have got a lot more confidence and there's momentum, but I firmly believe as well it's the way that some of the officials see you and view you. They know that you're up there, they know that you're competing, so some of the 50-50 decisions may go your way. Whereas when they think you're a bottom end table, maybe they don't. So there's lots of issues like that can affect the outcome of these games, and also I think they'll have to pay us respect, which is a good thing. So we're in a different place altogether. Having said that, it's a very difficult place to go. They've had a massive result yesterday, beating Australia, so we know the size of the task ahead of us, but it'll be no bigger than last week's, and we came through last week's.
What do you expect when you go to West Wing?
They bring a huge intensity to every game they play. They fight for every inch on the field, and they really look to disrupt your game. They'll run hard, it'll be very physical, and that's the one thing that we'll have to do is match them physically. But that's where one of the reasons I was so delighted with the performance last Sunday was from a relatively young team that we put on the park. I thought we outmuscled the very experienced on the Irish side, and that's what we're going to have to do against Munster. We're going to have to go there and be prepared to front up physically and match them in that area. If we can do that, then I firmly believe we've got a game that can allow us to be very competitive. But that's the first thing we have to do is front up physically.
From your point of view, is it nice that before the season started, perhaps people looking in would suggest that playing games over November test period was a backward step for the Magnus League, but I haven't spoken to the players and they just seem to want to be playing week in, week out, and for you guys being able to get that momentum, I guess it's a positive thing that you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah, it's very good for us, and particularly, you know, when you've got some positive momentum, it's particularly good. But it's always been the case, and I've been saying for a long time that we need to build the strength in the squad. We've been able to do that over the last 18 months or so. Not always out of choice, but we've been able to do it. And as a result, now we've got a group of players who can more than ably stand in when you know, some of our maybe more recognised stars aren't available, and that's what you have to have to be successful in a league campaign. As I say, you know, we can almost put any side that we pick out of our squad on the field, and they're performing for us at the moment.
What's been the difference in the away form this year, Nigel?
It's very difficult to say. You know, I don't think it's one or two things. It's lots of little different things, and the process has started, as I say, about 20 months ago, really, in terms of we bottomed out where we were. We knew where we were going with the squad, and we worked very hard to develop the group that we've had. But we've kept changing and evolving as well. And I think the most important thing is a bit of confidence and belief. And with the group that we've had and been able to develop, they've built that into themselves now. They actually believe that they can go to places like London Irish and Cardiff and get results, and that's all important, because if you don't believe, you know, you've got no chance. And when you're dealing with a group that maybe haven't had that much experience, it does take time, and it's been a slow process, but we've got there eventually, or we get in there. And there's lots of other things that we've changed. Obviously, the coaching setup has changed. The way we look at the game has changed. Our working week has changed. So there's loads of little things that have changed that have maybe affected where we currently are. But we know that quite easily, particularly in the Magnus League, you know, if you don't keep the momentum going, it can change very quickly.
You were without three front rowers, but I mean, the set piece last week must have been a huge plus.
Yes, you know, Peter Edwards and Simon Gardner, when he came on, did a great job on the tight head. You know, probably our third and fourth choice tight heads doing a great job for us, and we've got you know, two world-class tight heads not available to us at the moment. So again, that's very pleasing, and it just reiterates the fact and backs up the fact that we're building real strength in depth.
You saw Peter in pre-season in one of the games. He played over 20 minutes. I mean, he looked a different player basically on.
Yeah, he needed oxygen after 20 minutes when he played pre-season. I mean, he's still got a long way to go, but he's actually getting there now. He's a great character to have around the place, but he's starting to take himself a little bit more serious now, which is great. And you know, the conditioning program here has allowed him to actually start to look a bit like a rugby player. But he's got, believe it or not, he's extremely strong, one of the strongest guys we've got in the gym, very powerful. We just need to work on his aerobic capacity now to make sure that he can repeat it throughout the course of the game. He's up to about 60 minutes at the moment before he starts cramping up, but what I've said to him is, like I say to all the players, just give us everything you've got for the time you're on the park. Then when you can't go any further, we'll take you off and we'll replace you with somebody else. And what's happening is the guys coming on are actually adding to the effort as well.
No injury considered from last weekend?
No. Nothing major at all. A couple of bumps and bruises, but nothing, no.
Captain this week?
Well, we've got to change it again, then we've got to find a new captain this week.
Is it a bit of an in-house joke? You know?
It is, yeah. We've definitely got to find a new captain for next week. Yeah.
Just a word on the development players. You know, George North was obviously one of a number of guys that were signed on development contracts. How excited have you been about the others as well? People like Dan Newton, Steve Shingler, Aaron Shingler, the guys that have been playing in the RFC. Just a word about them. Yeah,
I think, you know, George is probably the tip of the iceberg, really, in many ways, and obviously he had a great debut for Wales, but George is still in his development phase. He's still got a lot to learn, and there are other guys here who are equally as exciting as George, you know, who we're bringing through the system. You know, Arlid Davies, Gareth Davies, Dan Newton, Steve Shingler, you know, to name but four, really. And that's the exciting thing, is that these guys are really stepping up to the mark. And I think the momentum in it is that they're seeing what George has done. They know that working week in, week out with George, what his abilities are. They know where they can judge themselves against him. So they know, oh, hang on, if George can do it, I can do it. And it's that's one of the most exciting factors. Yes, George is the tip of the iceberg, and below that there's a lot more talent coming through.
George North in the system, yeah, waiting a country.
There are a couple of exciting players in the system. George is quite unique in terms of his physicality for an 18-year-old, and that's the uniqueness of George. But there are some other very exciting players. Again, what I wouldn't want to do is put any pressure on individuals at this stage, because we'll see what happens, and when you're 16, 17, lots of things can change. So we're pretty pleased with the way our development structure is and how we identify talent. But what we've done successfully as well is not only identify young talent within our structure. I think we've been very good at spotting potential talent that's out there, maybe of an older generation. People like Damien Welsh, Andy Femby, who have come in this environment, have developed themselves and really pushed themselves forward as top players, and Tavis Noyle is probably another one.
Is that something that Tavis has been involved in a lot? Is that development in that area?
It's a team effort, it's a team effort, and myself and Gareth are involved heavily in that. But ultimately, the decision will come down to the rugby side, and if we think that the potential is there within the individual, then we'll make that call. And 9 times out of 10, when you've got a gut feel of a player, we know in this environment they're only going to get better.
Nigel, were you a particularly proud man at the weekend when you saw the Scarlets at the forefront of what Wales were doing? Obviously Matthew leading the side, Stephen kicking points and George scoring tries. It must be nice to see the Scarlets being mentioned.
Yeah, it was very nice. And they were using our moves as well, but I won't go into that. But no, it was great, and the interplay, that certainly the first try is something that they would have worked on out here, and then George having a part in one of the tries and scoring that last try, which was the crossfield kick again, which is a call that all teams will have, but they'll have worked together on that. And Matthew reading the team so well, I think, from a Scarlet perspective, yes, we were very, very proud of what those guys did, and even more so after Sunday with what our boys did.
I guess that's what you want, isn't it? More and more boys coming through, stepping up, the younger boys that you're sort of breeding here, then going on to the next level. Yeah,
it's an interesting one, and the wheel does turn, and you've got other sides in Wales who've got a lot more guys involved in the Welsh setup than we have at this moment in time. But when I look at the group that we've got coming through, we're quite encouraged by what potentially could happen.